everybody, and welcome back to the Silicon Nubian YouTube channel. If you've used Linux extensively over the last few years, or even if you've just occasionally gandered at it, took a peek at it to kick the tires and whatnot, you've probably noticed that, in particular for the top tier distributions, that a certain sameness has become apparent. There's been somewhat of a convergence towards the same kind of feeling in a way. There are a few standouts that have been released. Elementary OS Freya is one of them. Ka OS, to more or less an extent, is in that direction. And today we have another one, a release of a distribution that, in my opinion, the developer seems to make a lot of really correct decisions. Today we have Makululinux version 9. Xfce spin. This spin is the uses Xfce as the main GUI and Light Display Manager as display manager. There are other spins as well. They have a KDE spin. They have and one called Makululinux Aero, which looks a lot like Windows 7 in a way, and others as well. But today we're going to look at the Xfce full version. There is a light version. The only difference is the light version ships with almost no additional software and probably ships with the bare Xfce included software selections. So what we have in front of you, let's get started. We have the login screen. You'll notice right away the theming is different. The wallpapers are very interesting. They all have these very interesting quotes. And there is a wallpaper changer. As you're using the distribution for whatever, being productive and whatnot, the wallpapers do change. There is a wallpaper changer that's built in, and they have some very interesting wallpapers, to put it mildly. You also see the beautiful clock, and this whole theme will go over to the login page. The graphic here is interesting. That's also a theme choice that the developers have made. And let's get right in here. Once again, Makululinux, this one we're using uses Xfce. There we are. The wallpaper changer just changed the wallpaper. This function can be actually be turned off and configured. If you do see some flickering during this video, it probably is the wallpaper changer interacting. This is a virtual machine and not real hardware, so there is a little thing that occurs, but this does not show up on real hardware, I can assure you. So let's get started. Xfce again is the GUI. Xfce has come a very, very long way. I should point out in the beginning that our process for presenting these Linux distributions for review on YouTube is that we install the distribution and then we perform an upgrade or look for upgrades, and then we film the video. Our belief is that this will give users a better representation of what the distribution will be like to use as of the day of the creation of the video itself, with all the relevant updates up to that day. That getting out of the way, we have a few icons on the desktop. This represents removable volume, not yet mounted, VirtualBox editions, of course, my trash system. You'll notice that the icon theme is different, not what we're used to seeing, not the sanitized, excuse my description of a sanitized, like business-like approach that a lot of other Linux just use, flat, lifeless, which is not a bad thing depending on how it's presented. Once again, being Linux, this is so easy to change, and I'll show you later. On the desktop, we have a very nice clock. Again, these quotes with these very interesting backgrounds. Here's the wallpaper changer. We'll just go to that right away. We can see the different ones, and the quotes will change as I want them to. It does already does it on a regular. It's timed. You can go into preferences and change all of that, and select a folder that will get all the graphics from, so you can use it any way you want it with your own pictures and whatnot. Very interesting. We have another app that's included by default, the weather report. Always good to have. These days it's getting harder and harder. We have displays the battery levels. We have, of course, there's sound. We have network connections. We have Bluetooth manager. And here we have a mega search. This is like a mega search utility which will search all different areas, applications, places, documents, audio, whatever you type in, it'll pull up anything that remotely close to that. Pretty good app to have, especially after you've been using your operating system for an appreciable amount of time, and if you've accumulated a lot of files and potentially a lot of clutter. So it's good to have that mega search built in there. Moving over to the bottom left, we have, of course, the file manager. It uses Thunar. It ships with Thunar, I should say, 1.610 after the update as of today. Thunar is very well known, capable, a little on the simplistic side, but simplistic is not bad, as we've seen in elementary OS. Simplistic can actually be very good. The default web browser is Mozilla Firefox, and that's not a bad choice at all. This is from a previous where I shut the machine down. It works very well. Nothing wrong there, nothing to see there. Mozilla Firefox. Any other web browser available in Linux is obviously very easy to install. Here we have the terminal. Nothing really to see there. Here we have another interesting icon. Update repositories. It will go out and update all the software sections from the different repositories, and make sure that there's a fresh list of the repository packages that are available in your system. And here we have the file menu. Let's go through this, and as we go through, I'll point out the things that make Makulu Linux different, in my opinion. Not just about the theming. There's other stuff as well. We have a first one is Wine. Unlike Zorin OS, which basically tells you straight out, we exist to help facilitate people getting over to Linux, make it a lot easier, and include all this Wine functionality. Wine stands for Wine is not an emulator. It allows Windows-specific software to run on Linux, hopefully. It's been in development for many years and is very capable. We have Wine, we have Wine Tricks. Creates a virtual C drive for your Wine, for your installed Windows programs. Unlike Zorin, Makulu doesn't say that as one of their goals, but obviously it's there. And my updater just finished updating all the repositories. And it's a welcome thing, in particular if you're coming from the Windows world. There might still be those one or two applications that you just haven't weaned yourself from yet. And this will give you an opportunity. It doesn't just go for applications as well. I'll go to games quickly, and you'll see that Play on Linux is also included. This allows the installation and the running of certain games that are Windows only in Linux. Will work in Linux as well. So that's great to have there. Let's go through some of the stuff. We have BleachBit, which is a privacy maintainer, a file scrubber. This is another thing you're going to see as we go along, in that unlike most of the common top-end distributions, Makulu Linux, they seem to have gone out of their way to, at times, to choose applications that are not typically found on these quote-unquote top-end distributions. And while you can sink or swim based on this decision, I think they really swam very well. It just goes to show you how deep the open source community is with respect to quality applications. Not everybody is going to be using Kwrite or gedit. There's a lot of other as or more capable applications out there, and the developers of Makulu Linux have definitely, at least with this spin, have definitely stepped to the plate with some great software. Boot info, diagnose boot up of your computer. Good to have if you're troubleshooting. Boot repair, to repair the boot of your computer. Here's a theme manager, Light DM Manager. Makulu Linux ships with a lot of different themes. As you can tell right here from the theme drop down. Also we're using the Boof 3.10 for the icon theme. There's a lot of others that are included, and it's easy to get more. Being that its base, if I haven't mentioned already, is Ubuntu 14.04.2, there's a lot of software support for this. And by the way, that is an LTS, long-term service release, which has guaranteed updates until 2019. So no need to worry about, if you're one of those people who don't like to upgrade your OS every 6 to 8 months, don't worry about that. Install this, you're good for another few years at least before you have to consider that. And so we have settings for the panel, window position, miscellaneous settings, very configurable. We have a few others with MegaSync. This is an app. MegaSync is a cloud storage company, much like Dropbox or Windows OneDrive or Microsoft OneDrive. I believe from the documentation it stated that Mega will give you 50 gigabytes of secure storage, and the app is built in here. I believe it's free. Just have to create an account, of course. And we have a few others. I'm going to come back. We have the software updater. I checked the default settings for it. Its default settings are to check for updates once a day, which is great. And that's for security updates. And for any other update that it finds, it will inform you of it once a week. And this can be changed. So security updates, it's going to check every day, and as they become available, you'll be told. Other updates, well, if they're not considered security updates, once a week you'll be informed that they're available, which is a good, I think, a very reasonable setting. You know, file manager again. We have a few terminals here, and here's the tool I wanted to show you. Makulu Constructor. I'm going to write what it says. This tool is designed to make a one-to-one clone of your system. There is also a full kit available to build a distro from scratch. Makulu are very proud of this tool, so much so that they announce on their website that they have actually created this distribution using their Makulu Constructor. So a powerful piece of software. So what it really does is it takes a real-time snapshot of your system, your running system, and creates a one-to-one copy of it, clone, basically, and saves it as an ISO file. You'll see later that Ubuntu is included, a very great utility to convert that ISO to a bootable flash drive. So restoring it is quite simple. You just have to follow some prompts. There's a few little things you have to do. It's nothing major. And it's a great backup tool. Much more than just backing up files and whatnot. Your system in its state as you see it now can be backed up completely. I'd like to dig a little deeper in there, maybe in a later video or whatever, and see if you can actually run that on as a cron job or some kind of weekly thing instead of have to actually going in there and doing it manually. That'd be very interesting. A very good backup solution. If we go to settings, we'll go to the settings manager. It looks a lot like the typical Xfce manager with a few additions. I really like the theming in here, the icon theme. I really do like it. It's grown on me tremendously. It's got a few additions. Of course, here are the Xfce typical. Then we have Climb TK. Yes, Makulu Linux does come with antivirus. It also comes with a firewall, hence the firewall configuration tool. And of course, the what we checked out before. And here is Ubuntu, which is the tool to create a bootable flash drive from ISO files, which goes hand in hand with Makulu Constructor, which we saw before. Right? I would love to try Makulu Constructor. I might actually put a video on it just to run it by itself and see if I can actually build a distribution from scratch, much like they've done here with this Makulu Spin, which I'm liking very much. So we have all the all the selections that we need to keep the system running good, and for those coming to Linux from Windows, not necessarily having to drop down to the command line to do anything really. It does pretty much everything that we need here for your typical user. It's already included. And as we continue more, I'll go more to settings, additional drivers. This is an interesting tool. The only disappointment I have, it's not included in the settings manager by itself. I don't see it here. Right, it's not there. I wish they could have moved it there. But that being said, it's a tool that will look for proprietary drivers, for example, video or other drivers that exist. It just told me that there's none here, and there won't be in a virtual machine. For example, if you're running that NVIDIA card or that AMD ATI accelerator, a video accelerator card, it will present you, it'll tell you what driver is running, which is probably the open source driver, for example. And then it will ask you, well, this is the latest proprietary driver available. Would you like to download it and replace? And it allows you to do it quickly and assuredly. That tool has appeared on a lot of Ubuntu spins, and I think it's one of the better ones out there. Okay, so most of these that we see were already contained in the settings manager. So we won't go any further in that. We're going to go to accessories. Here we have Catfish File Search, which is another file search to search for files on your PC. This is another piece of software that I'm not familiar with as much, but is extremely good, very functional, and again, like I was saying before, at the risk of sounding repetitive, goes a long way into showing you the depth of quality software available in Linux. It's absolutely incredible. And here's another one, LeafPad. Not everybody wants to use kwrite or gedit. This is a very capable notepad replacement. Okay. We continue down. We have Orange Global Time, which you have to configure, and it'll have times from all over the world. We have Synapse. Again, we showed the Mega Search tool there. We have a few others. We have Xarchiver. It's the archive manager. I love that the developers have included what I consider to be fantastic choices for software, even though some of them are off the beaten track, quote unquote. There's no need to replace them. They're very functional. They do as good or better job than the other variants that are included in the more well-known distributions. Games, of course, we went to Play on Linux, and wouldn't you know it, Steam is also installed. This is great. So not only can you be productive with Makululinux, you can also play games if you have a Steam account right off the bat. Log in. I believe the Linux library for Steam keeps growing and growing. Graphics. You have Pinta, image editor. Very capable. We have Nomax image viewer. Again, not one I'm used to using, but definitely have used it, and it's great. My Paint, a paint program here. You'll notice the performance is quite good as well as I'm clicking through these different things. A document viewer, multimedia, we went there, internet. Here's where things are interesting. We have the Firefox web browser, as we showed before. Install Netflix. I haven't used it, but my understanding from reading up on this particular app, it allows you to get Netflix installed and working on your Linux computer very simply. I applaud Makululinux developers for doing this, not just because of Netflix. I mean, fine, Netflix does have millions and millions of subscribers, but they're thinking outside the box a little bit and trying to include things that the average person would want to use. Megasync, of course, Pigeon Instant Messenger, which can support multiple messaging protocols, Google Talk, Jabber, MSN, Yahoo, blah, blah, blah. Continued. We have Skype, very good. Steam. TeamViewer 10 is not included. It's something that I installed as I wanted to let a friend come in the system and really check it out. I was, really excited about it. So a good friend of mine, another Linux user, logged in and liked it as well. And I went through the multimedia with the various mixers, VLC player, of course, the Play Everything player. And we have the Software Center. This is a mainstay in most Ubuntu-derived distributions. Very quick and easy way to install software. Very simple interface. We can either dig through things. This is all categories. The theming is very interesting. Very interesting, to put it mildly. It says here there's 72,951 packages that are available. As with most Linux distributions, folks, you will not run short of a great software and the vast majority of I think all of it is pretty much open source or freely available. For example, if I wanted to install Chromium, which is Google Chrome, I can always go to internet, I can go to web, and I can look for it, right? But another easy way is I can do a search. There's Chromium browser right there. It gives you an overall rating, gives you the version available, the size, explanation of what it is, reviews, and to install it, you would just click on install, and in a minute or so, Chrome is now installed on your system. It shows you graphics so here what it looks like. No fuss, no muss. Linux has come such a long way in the last 5 to 10 years in terms of usability. There's not much more I can say except bravo. We have the featured packages. This changes. Some of them are installed. Of course, some of the featured packages such as VLC, Firefox, gparted is installed. GIMP is there as well, and whatnot. We also have, if I'm not mistaken, a few others that are just too numerous to mention. There's too much software to mention. I mean, this is just a featured software. Blender, 3D model renderer, of course, fantasy games, Audacious, we have that installed. Deluge, BitTorrent client, and that's just the XFburn, the featured stuff. So, why do I like Makululinux so much? I would have to. It comes from a few different angles. One being the feel, the polish, the thoughtfulness that has gone into it, and that's really what comes through from the way that it's presented to you, from the software choices, the stability. It just is something that feels very good. Another thing I should point out is, for example, with Office, and being different, but being different in a positive way. Instead of the majority of distributions that will include an Office suite will include LibreOffice, I have absolutely no problem, and everything I say about LibreOffice is just praise. Beautiful Office suite, Microsoft Office compatible, but there are others out there. And Makululinux, at least this spin, the Xfce Makululinux version 9, ships with WPS Office, which includes 3 core apps: the writer, the spreadsheets, and the presentation. You may not be familiar with this. WPS Office used to be called Kingsoft Office. Now it might ring a bell in a few of your minds. So this used to be Kingsoft Office, which is also very highly praised. Again, doesn't have the exposure of LibreOffice or even OpenOffice before that, but is extremely capable, very well known, and very well liked. I love how it comes up with all these templates right off the bat to get you started from, recommended. Then you have my templates. Of course, I'm not going to have any. I love that. The jury is still out on whether this is or used to be retail software paid, but it's included for free in Makululinux, and I applaud them again for doing that. They took a chance. Some people might even look and say, hey, LibreOffice is not there and there's nothing else, but there are other choices, and the developers of Makululinux know there are other viable, excellent choices. I have no problem at all with WPS Office. from my short-term time using it. Now, the jury may be out. Can it save Office formats correctly and all that? I believe it can, because Kingsoft could. It's just a change in name. And that's one of the reasons I like Makulu Linux. They've dared to be a little bit different, but at the same time, they've made the right choices. They walked that fine line and they've walked it straight. I like what they've done. I'm really excited about this distribution. It goes to show you that there's still a little bit of lateral movement in Linux, while there is a definite convergence coming with respect to, or being more apparent with respect to what's available in Linux, how Linux feels and works and whatnot. There's still, you know, those developers out there who are not afraid to just take a little sidestep. Let me put something out there a little different, you know, and I really like it. So how would I rate my overall experience with Makululinux version 9 Xfce version? I would rate it very good. I would also say it's a must try. If you can put it into a virtual machine, or if you have a spare machine sitting around, the hardware recognition should be excellent, given that it's coming from Ubuntu. It's a long-term support, based on long-term support, so you're good till 2009 for updates. In my time with it, which admittedly has only been a few days, but quite a few hours on it, it's been extremely stable, done everything I've wanted it to do, and overall, it's a must-try. Same boat as Elementary OS, to a lesser extent KaiOS, although I still like it, but it has some rough edges and a few small bugs when I used it, but I'm sure it's good. Definitely a must-try. So if you see it, you're on DistroWatch, give it a download. There's a few different spins. Again, I'm using the full Xfce version 9 version, and I use that word version too many times, excuse me. I'm using the full Xfce version, and I would definitely give it a try. So give me a thumbs up, preferably in below, and also if I can have any of your comments, I'd love to hear from you. If you have any suggestions as to what I should look at next, maybe you have a favorite Linux distribution that you're thinking about or want my opinion on it, if that's what you really want, I would definitely consider it, of making a video of it. Also, we have a few more hardware specific videos coming up. I am building a new personal Linux workstation out of parts I have here lying around, and a few new parts as well. That's going to be my main machine, and I'm going to be documenting that. I already put a video. My last video before this was unboxing and overview of the case I will be using. We do have a presence on Facebook, both a group presence and a business presence, and we do also have a blog, and you'll see all those links below this video. So give us a holler, and if you like what you see, please feel free to subscribe. Thank you very much for watching this overview of Makululinux 9 Xfce version, and take care.